Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and as you can see we're playing Rogue Trader. We were invited by Owlcat Games to check out pretty much the release build for this title as the game releases tomorrow. Now there's going to be a few videos on this game because I've been having quite a decent amount of fun. So the plan with this video specifically is some early tips when you're just getting started in your game. This might not be too relevant to you if you're used to CRPGs, but if you have any other pieces of advice, please share them in the comments below as I imagine people will find them valuable. This is a new jump for the 41st millennium as obviously many people have been asking for a large-scale CRPG. So we're going to start off with the first of the tips, and that is take your time creating your character. I know that might sound kind of redundant because most people should do that anyway, but yes, you're going to forge your character, go with different stylings, go with different appearances, and as you create your character you'll be getting different benefits, different bonuses, and pretty much just deciding on how you're going to play out. Naturally, yes, you can kind of spec around it as you start leveling up, but if you're looking for specific builds, if you're looking for a specific playstyle, this is where the core foundation of that will be built. You'll be able to decide your early perks, build up your early class, and then from there you can kind of spread out into separate classes and pretty much create the rogue trader of your dreams. Don't worry if you feel a little bit overwhelmed, you can easily start going through this and taking your time will create the perfect character. Maybe as you play along you might end up with a character that you just didn't like. Sure, you can easily start off a new save too. This is a game that is going to require multiple amounts of playthroughs, I imagine. From what I've been playing so far, there is a lot of options and we'll get to that a little bit later. But in around 15 minutes or so, maybe even less, depending if you know exactly what you want. Yeah, I created this character. He's basically going to focus around being a shooter type, very focusing on, las guns and a lot of range weaponry. I feel like that's going to be my playstyle with this specific character. And, yep, fairly keen on this. With the portrait, you can put in a custom picture as far as I'm aware. So maybe when I do a stream version on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges in a few hours, we'll have a little funny one. I'll make a funny face for it. I've spent a good number of hours just creating characters, I'll be honest with you, and I think that's really a fun thing about this title. Alright, this next tip might not be so relevant if you're used to CRPGs or RPGs in general, but if you're more from the Warhammer tabletop setting and just want to buy a game that says Warhammer 40,000 on it, this is an important one. Read absolutely everything, jump into dialogue, explore different options. Not only is this available for you to get new quests and side quests and so on, but you'll also learn a good deal about the lore of the setting and what's actually going on in the story. For those of you not too well versed with the 41st millennium, this will also give you some much needed context for this system in particular, what's going on, certain things about enemies like for example chaos. You're going to be seeing a lot of chaos influence throughout this game, but you'll also be able to find some funny dialogue. Yes, there is actually some humor in the 41st millennium. So one thing that you'll want to do is when you're traveling to space stations, when you're going to markets and so on, explore. Even if it's not an area that you're supposed to be in for a quest, if you can get into some dialogue, you might be able to pick up some side quests. Again, if you're used to stuff like Disco Elysium, Baldur's Gate 3, hell, I could even say Diablo 2. This is very important for your expansion of your story. You're going to be able to find some stuff around. I've done a few different characters and I've gone to different areas. There have been times that I've gone to the exact same area and I've just completely missed another character where I could be able to talk and just get some much needed exposition for the game itself. You have a lot of freedom in this game and it's very obvious as you start going through it, and that will lead to certain points of dialogue which your choices matter. So here you can see we can get a dogmatic, heretical. These are choices, some of the choices that you'll be presented with around the game, and it's actually a pretty interesting system because yes, there is a little bit of heresy there. If you're a big Chaos fan like myself, why not dabble a little bit into the ruinous powers? This is a big reason in itself as to why you will probably want to do multiple playthroughs, as these choices will start to shape the foundation of your campaign and unlock you some pretty good bonuses. You see, this is all tied to a skill tree, which again, if you get more points in heretical, you'll be able to get some strong bonuses there, focusing on the specific path that you've gone through. I actually quite like this system, as again, you'll be able to experiment and just kind of go down the trees as you wish. I am a very big Chaos fan, you guys know me quite well at this point, and more than likely I'm going to be focusing very, very heavily on heretical stuff, especially during the live stream. I mean, there's a reason why I have multiple chaos tattoos, right? But yeah, if you want to be holier than thou, if you want to actually care about the people, or if you want to fall to the sway of the darker gods, yeah, you've got the freedom here, and I think this is kind of cool. Something that doesn't really get explored too much in Warhammer games, because the element of freedom is just not there for pretty much what we've seen in other titles. But when it comes to CRPG, yeah, that is a lot bigger. That has a larger scale to be able to explore the stuff that we just generally can't see. Alright, let's talk about combat. Now, combat itself is as fast and slow-paced as you want it to be. The fact of the matter is, yes, this is a turn-based game, but you can be fairly quick about it if you know what you're doing. If not, and you're new to the setting, new to the genre, take your time. It's important because you need to make sure that you're not making silly mistakes. One thing, for example, is if you scatter fire, you have a chance of hitting your own troops, just like the enemies have a chance of hitting their own. And this isn't just with scatterfire, this is pretty much with anything that can do explosions, or just a wayward shot that ends up smacking you in the face. Believe me, it's very simple to make these mistakes if you're just not paying attention. And yeah, I mean, this is the 41st millennium, where a lot of the guns are very powerful and they can have a stray bullet here and there. You'll want to use your characters to the best of their ability, as these are specialized in different ways. You know, the Sister of Battle is quite good for shooting, your Psyker is good at, you know, doing a little bit of dabbling into some magical properties, which may or may not be heretical. But this is a key factor in combat. Don't make the mistake of throwing all your characters right in the front line, as they will take some damage. So strategizing, even at the beginning of combat, is quite important. Put your characters behind cover, or just put them right at the front if you want to make this quick. This is what I'm doing in this, but mostly because this is a showcase build. For me, I'm just using this character in particular to show you mistakes and stuff like that. This isn't a particularly hard group of enemies anyway, it's just a few cultists and so on, well, traitor guardsmen. But it's not just based on your stuff. You can also check out the stats of your enemies and see what abilities they may have. This is important for you to be able to plan out what you need to take out first. For example, this Chaos Spawn, I was focusing too heavily on it, so when it was taking too much damage, it was killing off the other traitor guardsmen to heal up. Obviously not something I want to do. I want to focus on getting rid of the other guardsmen, or else I'm going to start suffering very, very heavily. The last thing anyone wants here is a Chaos Spawn just continuously regenerating and basically just mowing down through your characters. From what I've been able to see, there is a fair amount of unique units and enemies that you're going to be seeing, so you need to be prepared to deal with different types of factions. That means also switching around weapons if you so wish, which you can do that in combat provided that you already have them equipped. Again, a bit of an obvious one, but this one's super important. Quests and side quests. Don't just focus on the basic stuff. Don't focus on the main story. I know a lot of people might want to do that, especially for the main playthrough, but explore. Go to different planets, go to different areas. You'll be able to get a lot more story-based stuff, which is really, really cool. There is so much story involved here, but not only that, it's just better for you to boost up your character's capabilities. If you're going to go into playing harder difficulties, try to do some story stuff on the side, rather than just focusing on the main story, or else you're going to hit a brick wall eventually. That's going to slow down your campaign, and it's going to present a few different problems here and there. It's something that I've been able to test out with my own playthroughs. And yeah, side stories, it's always better. Again, if you've played Baldur's Gate 3, it's something that you're used to already. Now, when you're progressing for your campaign, it's important to note that you can actually lose. Yes, if all your characters end up being taken out, your journey is over. From there, you'll either have to reload the last save, go to a specific save, or start again. This depends on if you're one of those players that just decide, hey, I've died, that's the end of the story, let me start again, or if you just want to load up because you realize you've made a massive mistake. There is no shame in what is called save scumming, by the way. If you want to reload, that's all perfectly fine for you. At the end of the day, it's your game. Nobody can tell you what you can and can't do. What I would say is, if you do feel like you are in a bit of a danger, if you might have made a colossal mistake and so on, don't be afraid to backtrack, right? If you're in a specific area, you can actually go back to your void ship and then leave. And that's actually quite important to do. You don't have to stay there in the planet or in the space station or wherever you end up going if you don't feel like you're comfortable for those areas just yet. Make sure that you do what's best for your campaign, and there is no shame, again, in going back and retracing steps. Alright, this next one is small, but be a loot goblin. Pick up literally everything that you can. Not only is there new special equipment that you could give to your characters, but even just a shit ton of weapons. Get those weapons, sell them off, make a profit. Use that to buy something else. The idea is you want to be able to pick up as much as possible, and you're fairly able to. Don't you worry. If you have too much, you can send it to your void ship. It's just, you want to pick up as literal much as possible here. I've played with some people who have just been avoiding that for some reason. Alright, now we're going to focus on equipment. Like I said, if you're a loot goblin, you're going to be picking up a bunch of different items, and this will provide you with some benefits, as now you can give your Sister of Battle a nice hand weapon, just in case she needs to go hand to hand. It does happen in some cases. You can switch around and get some new items like new helmets, new clothing. These will be represented on your character, so you can change them around. A big thing here with CRPGs and RPGs in general is the clown suit. And yeah, you're going to end up with clown suits every now and then, but it's actually expected as you start getting some really nice equipment, some nice helmets, just some general gear. Always make sure to have whatever you can. Bring multiple weapons if you can. Keep in mind that you can have a two-handed weapon and then two one-handeds. This makes sure that you have absolutely everything that you will need. The same thing is with, well, medikits, explosives, and stuff like that. Spread them out throughout your characters. You don't want one character having the best equipment, because that means that if he gets taken down, all your other characters are just going to be absolutely awful. Make sure that you take advantage, make them spread out. I mean, you can focus on one character, I have done that, but again, you're putting yourself in a risk there. I've intentionally left this until one of the last ones, mostly because I know it's going to annoy some of you guys to see the level up icon show up throughout the video. But yes, leveling up is important, obviously. This is a CRPG, which means that you can actually start getting fairly powerful as you start ranking up through your playthrough. As you start doing missions, as you start getting into combat, getting into dialogue will sometimes provide you some experience also. This will allow you to start going into skills, abilities. Thankfully, as you've picked your class, you'll also be able to get some recommendations with what best fits your specific class, and this is something that you're going to have to do with every single character that you pick up. It's fairly important to make sure that you don't just focus on your character and forget about the others. Again, just like equipment, you want to level up all your characters. This is something, again, for newer players who might not be used to this franchise. I know a lot of people who are wanting to jump into Rogue Trader who maybe haven't played stuff like, well, any of the Owlcat games or Baldur's Gate stuff or any other CRPG, mostly because, you know, these guys are 40k fans who have been focusing on the tabletop and so on. There's a lot of tabletop people joining us in the video game world now, thanks to a lot of video games that have been appearing for the Warhammer franchise, so it's important to let them know. Also, you might have noticed when you level up your character, you will have subclasses for your specific class. This is just picked up as you level through. I'm not showing that stuff there. I'm letting some stuff be open so you can just enjoy yourself and not have everything spoiled by me. There will be future videos though, so don't you worry about that regarding those different things. I will say that the leveling system is fairly well streamlined. I actually really enjoy it. It's streamlined enough to be fairly easy to use. The recommendation system, again, something that I really do like, especially for newer players, and just, it's not that streamlined that it's dumb, right? If you want to go away from the recommendations, you can. You can experiment, you can make something completely weird. One thing I'm experimenting with, and it's something that we're going to be doing live on stream, again, twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges. I should be live around 2 hours post this video. I'm going to try and make a heretical guardsman and go full Chaos Lord if possible. It's going to be quite interesting, but yeah, I mean, hey, experimentation is the key here. And now here we are at the last one, which is take your time and have fun. The great thing about games like this is that there's so many options, and I mean a stupid amount of options on how to play the game, that you can just play constantly. You can have a lot of time to just have multiple characters, multiple playthroughs, try out different builds, try out a lot of experimentation, even with the stuff that you're going to be seeing at the beginning of your game, and just in that one playthrough from the first one. This is a very fluid title. It's very cool to see the 41st Millennium, you know, Warhammer 40k, being finally made into a game like this in a fairly grand scale from what I've been able to see. Owlcat Games are a very good dev studio. I've played a little bit of Pathfinder, but not that much, mostly because you guys know me, I'm very one-track mind. I'm a pony when it comes to only wanting Warhammer games. So we finally have one. And yeah, I'm actually fairly impressed. And this doesn't count as a review, as I want to really do a really detailed review in the future, but that's not going to be done anytime soon. It's one of those things. But yeah, take your time, have fun, and experience the Warhammer 40k setting in something that you could only really do back then just in, tabletop RPGs, and book-based RPGs. Now you get a big video game on it. But with all that being said, there's going to be a few more videos on this franchise if there's anything specific you want to see, void ships and all that type of stuff. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below to start a bit of a discussion. So it's a little bit different to what I normally do, but I've been looking at this game and I've been quite excited about it for some time now. So yeah, I'll see you all again very soon, guys. And once again, if you want to pop by, twitch.tv/The Great Book of Grudges, we'll be live, playing, and just memeing. See you guys.